Good morning. Good day to all. Thousands have lived without love, not one without water. Water is the driving force of all nature. So, do you think that living organism in this planet can survive without water? Where do we get our drinking water from? So, the title is Water, the Elixir of Life, written by Sir C.V. Raman. Before we going to know about elixir, what is elixir? Let's know about Sir C.V. Raman. His full name is Chandrasekhara Venkat Raman. He was an Indian physicist born in Tiruchirappalli, Tamil Nadu. He carried out groundbreaking work in the field of light scattering, which earned him the 1930 Nobel Prize for Physics. He discovered that when light traverses a transparent material, some of the deflected light changes wavelength. This phenomenon, subsequently known as Raman scattering, results from the Raman effect. And to commemorate it, February 28 is celebrated as National Science Day. In 1954, India honored him with his highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna. So we know him about something in the text. Next, move on to the title. What is the title? Water, the elixir of life. What is elixir? Elixir is a sweet flavored liquid. So here, water, the sweet flavored liquid that we want to taste. In this essay, Water, the Elixir of Life, Sir C.V. Raman brings out how water is indispensable to plant and human life and how it also causes evil like a soil erosion. He also tells excess of water can be preserved for good purpose. We'll start from the text. Man has through the ages sought in vain for an imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita, a draught of which was thought to confer immortality. But the true elixir of life lies near our hands, for it is the commonest of all liquids, the plain water. I remember one day standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. People are searching everywhere the divine Amrita, the water, but they don't know the true elixir of life. The true elixir of life lies near our hands. As we know, water, the plain water, is the commonest of all liquid. Sir C.V. Raman shared his experience once. One day he stood on the line that separated the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. What happened there? Let's move. On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere on it. On the other side lay one of the greatest, most fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on the earth, teeming with life and vegetation. What made this wonderful difference? Why, it is the water of the river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away. Geologists tell us that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river itself, brought down as the finest silt in its floodwaters from the high lands of Abyssinia and from the remote Central Africa, and laid down through the ages in the through which the Nile flows into the sea. Egypt, in fact, was made by its river. Its ancient civilization was created and sustained by the life giving waters which come down year after year with unfailing regularity. C.V. Raman feels that the true elixir of life was water. The single liquids can change the entire scene. See, on one side he could see the Libyan desert where there is no existence of life. It is a desert because of the shortage of water. On the other side he could see the fertile areas crowded with people. This remarkable difference is brought out by the Nile River from its source till it flows down into the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile River makes lands fertile and life happy, and this magic is possible because of the availability water, only water. How can river flows over the years? Here the answer from geologists. They reported that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river itself. That soil brought down the finest silt in its flood water. The soil from the flood water from the lands of Abyssinia and from interior Central Africa on its way lay down for many years, which the Nile flows into the sea. See, we can get the point here how vegetation, the flood water, soil is most fertile one in the world. I give this example and could give many others to emphasize that this common substance which we take for granted in our everyday life is the most potent and the most wonderful thing on the face of our earth. It has played a role of vast significance in shaping the course of the earth's history and continues to play the leading role in the drama of life on the surface of our planet. So here he tells we take granted this common substance, the water, in everyday life, but we forgot that water is the most potent and wonderful thing on the earth. It has played a very important role in shaping the course of Earth's history. It continues to play the leading role in drama of life on Earth. Simply, he gives this example to emphasize that the common water, the plain water, is the most potent and the most wonderful thing on the face of the earth. That's all. Next, there is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water, be it just a little stream trickling over the rocks or a little pond by the wayside, where the cattle quenches their thirst of an evening. The rainfed tanks that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance, are a cheering sight when they are full. They are of course shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silt laden and throws the light back, and the bottom does not therefore show up. These tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large, and it is a beautiful sight to see the sun rise and set over one of them. Water in the landscape may be compared to the eyes in a human face. It reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and gay when the sun shines, turning to dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast. The author C.V. Raman speaks of the importance of water. Stream or pond is a pleasing sight, particularly in village side, that their cattle quench their thirst from the stream or pond. South India is known for its rain-fed tanks. When they are full, they cheer us, but they are not maintained properly. They are shallow and often misused. If these tanks and ponds were not there, South India will be desert. Agriculture is possible without water. If South Indian agriculture is sound, predominant, weight, it is because of the water in the tanks and ponds. The sources of water reflects the mood of the hours, being bright and gay when the sun shines, and turning to dark gloomy when the sky is overcast. He says that water adds beauty to the countryside. Water is a stream or pond is pleasing sight. South India is known for its tanks, ponds. Some tanks are unimaginable large. To see the sunrise or the sunset in them is a beautiful sight. He compares water in landscape to the eyes of human face. When the sky shines, when the sun or shines, the water reflects the bright and gay sun. When the sky is overcast, it looks dark and gloomy. One of the most remarkable fact about water is its power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspension. This is the origin of the characteristic color of water in rain-fed tanks. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow flowing rain. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are carried to great distances. Such particles are, of course, extremely small, but their number is also great, and incredibly large amounts of solid matter can be transported in this way. See, the color of the water in rain-fed tanks changes according to the land from which the water comes. Swiftly flowing water can carry large and heavy particles. The finest particles remain floating in the water. Large areas of land can be converted into fertile land due to the silt-laden water. When silt-laden water mixes with the salt water of the sea, there is rapid precipitation of the suspended matter. This can be readily seen when one travels by steamer down a great river to the deep sea. The color of the water changes successively from the muddy red or brown of silt through varying shades of yellow and green, finally to the blue of the deep sea. That great tracts of land have been formed by its silt thus deposited is evident on an examination of the soil in alluvial areas. Such land consisting as it does of finely divided matter is usually very fertile. So simply the rapid precipitation of the suspended matter takes place when the silt laden water mixes with the salt water of the sea. The color of water changes successively the muddy red or brown color of silt throughout varying shades of yellow and green, finally changes into the blue color of the sea. These changes occurred and formed by silt that deposited in alluvial areas. Such land will be usually very fertile. The land where silt is deposited is usually very fertile. The flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture, and if allowed to proceed unchecked can have the most disastrous effect on the life of the country. The problem of soil erosion is one of the serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked are deserving of the closest study. See, the flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part in geological process. Rapidly flowing water carries away the rich top layers of the soil. This phenomenon is called soil erosion. The problem of soil erosion is of major significance in various countries, especially in India. Soil erosion is the initial stage is unnoticed. Later, it results the formation of deep gullies, ravines. These things affect agriculture. Soil erosion occurs in successive steps, the earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. In the later stages, the cutting up and washing away of the earth is only too painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines which make all agriculture impossible. Sudden bursts of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large run of surplus water are the principal factor in causing soil erosion. Contributory causes are the slope of the land, removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation, the existence of ruts along which the water can flow with rapidly gathering momentum, and the absence of any checks of such flow. Incredibly large quantities of precious soil can be washed away if such conditions exist, as is too often the case. The successive steps in the process of soil erosion are the flow of water, heavy rains, slope of the land, and the lot of vegetation. Our precious soil is washed away every year, so the measures suggested to check soil erosion are terracing of land, the construction of bunds to check the flow of water, to practice the counter cultivation and planting of vegetation. See, the menace with soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India, calling urgently for the attention and preventive action. The terracing of land, construction of bunds to check the flow of water, the practice of counter cultivation, and the planting of appropriate types of vegetation are amongst the measures that have been suggested. It is obvious that the aim should be to check the flow of water at the earliest possible stage before it has acquired any appreciable momentum and correspondingly large destructive power. So simply soil erosion is an alarming one as a threat in many parts of India that needs to pay attention and to prevent it. Planting appropriate types of vegetations like terracing land, construction of bunds to check the flow of water, the practice of contour cultivation. It is necessary to check the flow of water at early stage before it's going out of our hand. We are coming the epicenter area. See, Water is the basis of all life. Every animal or plant contains a substantial proportions of free and combined water in its body, and no kind of physiological activity or possible in which the fluid does not play an essential part. Water is, of course, necessary for animal life, while moisture in the soil is equally imperative for the life and growth of plants and trees, though the quantity necessary varies enormously with the species. The conservation and utilization of water is thus fundamental for human welfare. Apart from artesian, water the ultimate source in all cases in rain or snowfall. Much of Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall and is therefore very sensitive to any failure or irregularity of the same. The problem of soil erosion and of inadequate or irregular rainfall are closely connected with each other. It is clear that the adoption of techniques preventing soil erosion would also help to conserve and keep the water where it is wanted. In other words, on and in the soil, and such techniques therefore serve a double purpose. Water is the basis of life. It is an essential part for every animal and every plant. Water is necessary for an animal life and moisture in the soil for the life and growth of plants and trees. No life is possible without water. It is also must for agriculture. Thus, the conservation and cultivation of water is fundamental for human welfare. Much of Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall. In case fail of rainy season means failure of agriculture. If water is conserved, saved, it will prove very valuable for irrigation and power production. Conserved water will help in irrigation, and the electricity produced by the water will also help in irrigation. It is evident, however, that in a country having only seasonal rainfall, an immense quantity of rainwater must necessarily run off the ground. The collection and utilization of this water is therefore the vital importance. Much of it flows down into the streams and rivers and ultimately finds its way to the sea. Incredibly large quantities of the precious fluids are thus lost to the country. The harnessing of our rivers and waters, of which now mostly run to waste, is a great national problem which must be considered and dealt with on national lines. Vast areas of land which at present are mere scrub jungle could be turned into fertile and prosperous country by courageous and well planned action. See, in India we depend on season rainfall. An immense quantity of rainwater runs off the ground. The collection of rainwater and utilizing them is very important. Vast areas of land which at present are scrub jungle by courageous and well planned action. It could be turned into fertile and prosperous country if we taken to the count to talk as a public issue. Closely connected with the conservation of water supplies is the problem of afforestation. The systematic planting of suitable trees in everywhere possible or even in impossible areas, and the development of what one can call civilized forests, as distinguished from wild and untamed jungle, is one of the most urgent needs of India. Such plantation would directly and indirectly prove a source of untold wealth to the country. They would check soil erosion and conserve the rainfall of the country from flowing away to waste, and would provide the necessary supplies of cheap fuel. Thus, they render unnecessary the wasteful conversion of the farmyard manure into the form of fuel. The planting of trees in every way, and the development of forest is one of the most urgent needs of India. Such plantation would check soil erosion. They should be planned to planting. The suitable trees in impossible areas will check the soil erosion. They would conserve the rainfall and the country, and also provide the necessary supplies of cheap fuels. The ultimate point in this paragraph is they should be planned to plant trees according to the areas. The measures necessary to control the movement of water and conserve the supplies of it can also serve subsidiary purposes of value to the life of the countryside. By far of the cheapest form of internal transport is in a country is by boat and barges through canals and rivers. We hear much about programs of rail and road construction, but for too little about the development of internal waterways in India. Then again, the harnessing of water supplies usually also makes possible the development of hydroelectric power. The availability of electric power would make tremendous difference to the life of the countryside and enable rural economy to be improved in various directions. As we know, the cheapest form of transportation is railways, but the cheapest form of internal transport in a country is by boat and barges through the canals and river, only waterways. If it is possible, only the development of internal waterways in India. The tackle of water supplies usually makes possible the development of hydroelectrical power, and predominantly this electric power would make tremendous cultivation from countryside and enable rural economy to be stable. The last one, in one sense, water is the commonest of all liquids. In another sense, it is the most uncommon of liquids with amazing properties which are responsible for its unique power of maintaining animal and plant life. The investigation of the nature and properties of water is therefore of the highest scientific interest and is far from exhausted fields of research. So finally, how he concludes, water is the commonest of all liquid, but it is also the most uncommon of liquids with amazing properties. These properties are responsible for its unique power of maintaining animal and plants life. He concludes this lesson as the investigation of nature and properties of water is the highest scientific research in the scientific interest. He made this essay in order to people understand the importance of water. He emphasizes to preserve water, the plantations, whatever he can do from his side. He just told all this in this essay. What is meant by elixir? Elixir is a sweet flavored water. Here elixir means a water. How can soil erosion be prevented? To plant the terracing of land, construction of bunds, to check the water flows, the practice of counter cultivations, and these type of vegetations can be prevent soil erosion. What is the idea of civilized forest? Civilized forest means the systematic planting of suitable trees in every possible or even in impossible areas. That is called civilized forest. You people read the lesson once again and write the answers. Thank you.